Lord Barbados, also known as Venti the Bard, loved visiting the Church of Mondstadt. Due to his incognito lifestyle, the nuns were completely unaware that their songs and hymns and prayers were technically all dedicated to him. While he himself would never admit this to anyone, he found a sick sense of pleasure in it. That was borderline hypocritical. Venti hasn't revealed the secret to anyone but the people who absolutely needed to know this. And, well, one extra person who was an exception. You. He leaned back on the church bench as he listened to the nuns' choir practice. Venti was allowed by the nuns to attend these sessions as he, more often than not, partook in the removal of undesirable fans of Deaconess Barbara, and of course, being a bard, added reasons of inspiration to the list of more reasons as to why he should be one of the few to attend. But truthfully, he didn't care about any of this. Venti was the god of freedom and creativity. No, he intended entirely because of you. The only person outside of Mondstadt's leaders who knew his secret. You were an inquisitor of the church. This meant you were one of the select few pursuing the enemies of freedom around Mondstadt. Hilly trolls, treasure hoarders, fatui agents. They would all equally meet their end at the tip of your blade, or be burned alive by the righteous flame of your pyrovision. It had been late at night, your white nun gown stained with blood, most of it yours. The band of treasure hoarders you had exterminated managed to get a lucky hit into your hip. The wound simply refused to stop gushing blood. You would have retreated back into the cathedral, woke up Deaconess Barbara to heal your wounds. But as soon as you shuffled through the gate, your eyes dry due to being too afraid of blinking and passing out as a result. A small shape approached you. The always drunk Bard Venti. He was tiny compared to you, his head just barely reaching your chest. You still had your blade drawn, a replica of the Aquila Favonia. Your hands were shaking as you bared through the pain in your side. You know, the guard might attack you if they see someone covered in blood with their weapon drawn. You ignored the bard and continued on your way. Venti grinned. Life sucks, huh? Venti began to step after you. What are you doing? You opened your mouth and croaked. Fulfilling the wishes of Lord Barbados. Venti's grin widened. Oh, were you now? He thought. I must protect the freedom he has given us at all costs. You grunted as the pain in your side became worse. Oh yeah, sure thing, he chuckled. Need a hand? You huffed. Accepting your kindness would be an admittance of defeat. Your voice had turned into an almost feral growl. I'm pretty sure Barbados would want you to get my help. Huffing, you continued to walk past him. Sister Rosaria has so much less trouble with this. You coughed. Oh, so this is what it is. A rivalry. You managed to blush ever so slightly. It was a very one-sided rivalry. While she didn't care about anything really, you cared a lot about having a better performance than her. Hence why you were the one who always attended choir, despite you being unbelievably tired. As you reached the 100 steps that led up to the church, you fell on your knees. Your sword dropping next to you with a loud pling. Heaving, you bled onto the cold white stone as the bard sat down next to you. "You know, I can heal you," he whispered into your ear. You glared at him. This bard couldn't be serious, could he? "But it'll cost you an apple." Your eyes tried to continue focusing on him, but it was beginning to cloud. Then Venti gasped in amazement as he watched you reach up to the next step, using all your strength to push up higher. Venti shook his head. Any other person would have accepted his offer. "If you keep going, you'll be dead by the 50th step," he said mockingly. "What do you think Barbados would feel if he watched you desperately crawl like this, just to prove you're, what, the most devoted to him?" Shakily you turned your head towards the bard. There was genuine disappointment in his voice. Quickly he ascended the 3 or 4 steps that had just taken you minutes to crawl up. Once again he sat down next to you on the step, his slender hand pressing into your wound, while he moved his face over your ear. "Well, now it'll cost you a little more than just an apple," he whispered. A surge of energy erupted from the burning wound. Your eyes widened at the turquoise glow. It was as if the wind itself was blowing away your pain, like a caring father. This feeling, it was exhilarating, shaking you to the core. You heaved and groaned. But just as quickly as it began, it had already been over. You are breathing heavily, legs trembling from the ecstatic feeling. With quivering lips, you looked up at the bard, who had sprung on his feet. Did he just make you... "Well, that was fun," he chuckled. Most energy had left your body, and your skin was feeling quite sensitive. Every little muscle movement giving you a slight jolt of electricity. The bard's grin widened. "I'll come visit you soon, okay? Then we can continue where we left off." He huffed and once again came closer to your ear. "Oh, and don't act so holy. You know exactly what I'm talking about." After Venti left you with nothing but your sore, exhausted body and your thoughts, it became obvious to you that this man was hiding something. The way he spoke, his powers, his occupation. You turned around, your eyes focusing in on the man who had just saved your life. Are you Lord Barbados?" You heaved loud enough for him to hear. He didn't even turn around to answer you. He just shrugged before vanishing from view. After this, Venti had attended choir practice almost every day. He took every commission related to the church, just so he had a reason to be close to you. Venti knew that whatever you were thinking, it were thoughts the church would call sinful, as his beady little eyes watched you sing in the choir. Your eyes couldn't help themselves but dart towards him every once in a while. Why did your loins tingle with excitement whenever you saw him. He couldn't be Barbados. He couldn't. A god would never pose as a mere bard, right? Especially after his devoted constructed such a beautiful cathedral in his name. "Stop! Stop!" shouted Deaconess Barbara. Your heartbeat increased. Something is wrong," she said, rubbing over her chin. She pointed at the half you were standing in. "This side. One of you is out of tune." The nuns began to whisper. "Who of you is it?" she asked. I'm not mad. I'm just concerned. If something is wrong, you should be able to talk about this." No one looked at you. Or well, better, would be dared. Of course, the Inquisition was an open secret. And that's why most of the other nuns took a wide circle around you. So even if they knew it was you making practice more difficult, no one would dare tell you. Venti, meanwhile, was grinning from ear to ear. Despite the debacle that was today's choir practice, you remained resilient and knelt in the middle of the cathedral, allowing the divine light of the sun to engulf you through the stained glass. It felt warm, calm, and comforting. Your breathing was slow and concentrated. But it began to increase once you heard a pair of footsteps approach you. Slowly they came closer, like a foreboding thunderstorm. Breaking from your prayer, you ever so slightly turned your head and opened one eye. Of course, it was Venti. Or well, Barbados, collecting his due. You got up on your feet, taking a defensive stance, neither of you saying a word. As he walked up to you, you took a step back. The bard grinned as he pushed you up against the wall. The smug grin on his face was only betrayed by the mild blush even he had. Your lips came closer. "I want you to show me just how devoted you are to me." Your lips touched. His soft flesh felt sacrilege. What you were doing was the greatest of sins, wasn't it? Even if he was Barbados. His tongue parted your lips. It was soft, squishy, and warm, and longer than you would have expected from his tiny frame. Your body melted into his touch as his organ made its way down your throat, and your body began to heat up. Slowly his hands moved up to your chest, his fingers gently massaging your supple breasts, caressing your muscular frame. You groaned as you exhaled out of your nose. His hands were needy, controlling. They knew exactly what they wanted and how to get it. He hummed amused as his hands took hold of your ass. "Oh, sweet Lord Barbados," you moaned, and the bard grinned. "Yes, praise be." His grip intensified before moving further down. Your eyes shut as his warm, slender fingers danced across your dripping womanhood. Suddenly, you heard the door open. Quickly, you put your arms under the bard's shoulders and carried him behind a pillar. It was Barbara. Quietly, you leaned out from behind the stone to peek at her. What was she doing? But Venti wouldn't stop his assault on your body for even a second. Your legs trembled as you felt his snake-like touches across your shame. Would be really embarrassing if she saw you like this, huh? He taunted. Shut it. You hushed as you refused a pleasured sigh to escape your throat. Barbara was soon joined by a blond man who passed through the cathedral's entrance. This was getting out of hand. Now there were two of them. You shouldn't be doing this. You should be pushing away the bard, and even if he was your deity, this was just to keep some of your dignity. Hello, traveler, said Barbara happily. Hey, answered the man as he quickly approached. The traveler held out one of his hands. Are you ready? He asked. The deaconess nodded excitedly. Yes, I shall lift the curse brought upon you once more. She took his hand, and just as quickly as he entered, he led her outside. What was that all about? You wondered. Hey, whispered Venti. You looked down at the bard. What if I poke you there? A second later, your entire body convulsed, and you screamed in pleasure. Venti laughed, but you were done with his shit. Angrily, you grabbed the bard and easily threw him on your shoulder. What are you doing? He coughed in surprise. We are going to my chamber.